Good evening, everybody, dignitaries on the dais and dignitaries off the dais. When Professor Krishna Gowda is there and everybody is waiting to hear him, I have the unfortunate duty to deliver a talk, which I want to do because I take it positively that I waited for an hour and 10 minutes in order to speak here. So I hope you will patiently listen for about 20 minutes to what I talk with the permission of the dais and all of you. Well, I am going to want to talk something very different and very new today on an annual day of NIPM. What I am trying to talk is to talk to the HR practitioners as to how this world is changing and how the practitioners have to completely revamp and re-equip themselves in the HR field. For example, I want to talk about the geopolitical situation, then I want to talk about the technology situation, and then talk about role of HR. So please bear with me, it is a technical talk and all the humor and all the spirituality, everything will come from Professor. So I would just, kind of give some YouTube gyan, you could say. Now, as you all know, at my age, we had seen US and Russia Cold War. That's all. And US was one power, Russia was one power. Now what has happened, next step is, each nation has become very insecure and is asking for military security. So in that, reason for that has been that we have gone from a global connected world to first nation world. We have all become first nations. That means nation first. That is the theory. Whether it is US or Europe or Middle East, everybody is looking after protecting the nation first theory. And with that, the security becomes an issue. The recent wars, the two wars that have happened. Now, national security or global security will now take two shapes. One is US will go forward with supplying military equipments, sailors, navy, everything to any corner of the world, so they will still remain superior in security provision. And China is actually progressing very heavily in Asia only. So when this happens, US and China are the two security leaders. But there is the other security order where India is going to play a role, which is economic security. In economic security also, US is going to be leading the way and they are going to attract people through critical minerals and also semiconductors. Now China will do commercial trade. You will be surprised to hear that China-US trade is the highest level today. With all this that is going on, China and US trade is the highest and they lead the economic security, but Japan, India and Middle East countries, all these people will pull them down and possibly there will be a multipolar order. That means you will have India, Middle East, Europe as one corridor, BRICS as another. So there will be a third force which will come along with US and Russia. So there will be a multipolar economic order. There will be a bipolar security order. And with this is actually not what you are going to see next 10 years as organization people or HR people, because technology company owners will bring a third order called technology order, which will actually take you in a completely different plane. And that plane is something which is going to dictate how the future is going to be. Now I want you to pay attention and listen to this. Can I have some water, please? So, now what's happening? See, technology companies, even with primitive low AI and social media of bots, could stop Trump from campaigning from Twitter and Facebook, as technology owners stopped them. It is not anybody else. Imagine in the next 2024 election, what havoc can be played by an infant level AI making, narratives in the social media, polarizing and allowing X or Y to take lead. So what is happening to technology companies which are taking a third order, which is again above security and above economic security? So technology is going to become the most important weapon. I don't want to call it a weapon, as an order. It will be technology will be an order. I hope you are getting the impact of how bad or how difficult the situation and challenge is going to be. I am a technology man. I love artificial intelligence. We are getting huge productivity. Health and education is going to grow like anything. We are all very happy to welcome it. But artificial intelligence is the first thing that can actually create and think on its own and do something which is better than what the human brain can do. For example, chess. I will tell you a simple example. Any amount of chess you might have played, an algorithm will become the authority, and you cannot beat that algorithm, though you have built it, but it has actually learned by the outcomes and the feedbacks of hundreds of chess games and become superior in self-learning, and that self-learning algorithm cannot be beaten. Now, this is not, the technology company doesn't rest here. For example, Ukraine-Russia war, how is that Zelensky is still surviving and still talking? Because US-led NATO is using technology companies to work. It is working in communication. It is working in, cyber security. If you are driving a plane or a tank, they can hack and stop it. So what is the power going to be? It's technology company. Now, who is handling technology company? Technology company is being handled by technology owners. It is not government. It is not country. And even technology owners have a problem, because who is the boss there? Algorithm. You are fighting in a social media for a concept or a narrative, for or against. But who is there opposite to you? It is an algorithm. And it learns from you. The more you screw it, the more it understands you. And it builds a language. Now, all over civilization, we have built language. And from language, we have built intimacy. And then we have done storytelling. And therefore, we have built culture and civilization and religion and scriptures. We say apaurusheya. Apaurusheya is all kind of stories which come. And now, artificial intelligence is also apaurusheya, because it goes beyond the human intervention. For example, you have a printing press today. A printing press is not AI. Printing press, you write the book, it prints. You go to a human rights law. Human rights, there is a language and there is a rule. Who creates this language and rule? Humans create. Now AI will create. You cannot work with AI. You cannot argue with AI. So all the human rights will be AI driven. You have to understand the depth of what impact that is coming on you, right? Now, I have given you the example of Ukraine war, and recently what happened, I don't know how many of you have heard all this. When the Israel-Gaza problem happened, immediately 5 universities in the US started for promoting Palestine because of the social media narratives and the groups which had. So this created a big problem, and what US had to do was to withdraw appointment letters given to those guys who are promoting Palestine in order to get an Israel supremacy. Now, therefore, the whole world order is going to work on artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is good, but there is a beautiful thing. Yuval Harari. I don't know how many of you know him. He's one of the biggest thinkers of our century. He says AI will hack civilization. Whatever cultures you have built, whatever stories you have built, whatever religions you have built, whatever you have built, it will consume first. And then it will gush out various narratives to change human behavior. It collects data on organization, and it collects data on individuals. And this collected data of organization and individuals, it is so deep and so real time that it can actually start dictating behavior, dictating terms. The technology owners are going to be the new power centers and the new order. This is a very I'm sorry, I'm talking more about the challenges, but one has to know this because that is where we have to change. Now I come to one of the things which in a spiritual way we can understand. Shankaracharya and Buddhists have told from beginning, this whole world we see, what I am talking, what you are listening, is all Maya. It is actually rising in consciousness and disappearing in consciousness. Consciousness is supreme because consciousness is the only thing which is self-aware and self-exists. Everything has consciousness and everything is consciousness. This is Shankara or this is Buddha. Now, this Maya itself will have another veil. Already we don't know our divinity and we will have another veil. What is that veil? Artificial intelligence. And there, who are you talking to? You are talking to algorithm. Please understand what we are what's going to happen to all of us. I'll give you a practical example now, what the HR people are going to face. See, ESG is coming. ESG metrics is going to be most important for measuring company performances. How many of you know ESG? Please raise your hands. That is actually environment, social, and governance. Now, when you talk about ESG, environment, social, and governance, let us say there is an oil company. They will say it will not be carbon neutral. Don't dig. What will happen to the investors? Therefore, people are not digging in the US because oil companies, their basic purpose is to dig oil. But they won't dig oil because it's E against. But it is good because it is saving humanity. Okay, then we come to yes. Yes is wokeism is coming, which means oppressed and the oppressor, there should be equal opportunities, what we all have been talking about. Now, from equal opportunities, they are moving to equity terms. Equity terms means outcomes should be there in action. You cannot say that the vacancies were not filled. Outcomes must happen. If the outcomes must happen, it is called equity from Equality Labs. Now, what happens to meritocracy? So, if you have to have meritocracy, of course, their gender also will come in, that more women should come. There are a lot of positive things in ESG. Don't take me wrong, okay? So, ESG has a very good governance model, good environment model, good social model, because it is all inclusive and it takes all diversification into play, which is very good. But you should remember two things. One is what will happen to profits, and what will the investors do. Secondly, what will happen to meritocracy. So this balancing is something which you have to do very well in order to work, right? Now, if these narratives are taken over by AI, there will be polarization. Once that polarization happens, the problem becomes more deep. So, we have a work to do in these areas. Can I go on because it will be... Yeah, another 5 minutes. Because once you start talking, you start loving your voice. And once you start loving your voice, you don't stop. So, that's the problem. I don't want to do that. So, I have talked to you about language. See, what happens with algorithms is they develop an intimacy with you. You start becoming, how many of you spend 6 hours a day, which is an average on phone now, with a stupid social media only. Imagine if AI becomes so powerful, you will have so many ways of it teaching you. Every walk of life you will have AI. So we have to understand the depth of where we are going. So I was talking about veil. So this new veil of algorithm will come and sit on top of the veil of our divine being, which is already Maya, and we have all done spiritual practices to get out of that. Now we'll have to, I'm going to suggest something how to get out of this as well. So now ESG we have said, balancing we have to talk about, and AI makes you one more thing. AI actually makes you buy products. It knows your behavior. You see, AI is much better than macro analysis. You guys, you have, the people who commit crimes are taken into macro analysis. AI will do macro analysis of all of us. It is not just surveillance. It will know our habits, it will know our behaviors, it will know our moods, it will know when we lie, when we don't lie. It will treat everybody in that way in which you interact with it. So it will learn from your outcome that you are doing this, and therefore next time it will hone and talk a different language. The beauty of AI is basically language, intimacy, and storytelling. Let's understand that is going to be. So what we have to do to overcome them. And then let me come to the HR things. Now, I want to come down to the actual use of AI in the organization. Today, immediately, you should all adopt in IT companies Copilot and ChatGPT. No matter where you are, the HR should conduct enough conferences and enough methodology to use Copilot and ChatGPT. Otherwise, you will not be able to survive. And along with that, there is a very important concept called prompt engineering. That means the way you ask questions, the AIs behave, right? So you have to develop the understanding of asking questions. That is called prompt engineering. This is another course which HR people should run in order to make their people beneficial. Then we have, see, it's like a post-COVID like adjustment. When these technology companies come and take over, though I have talked to you about the macro level of how the global security order will work, how the global economic order will work, how the technology companies are going to overpower. When you have known all this, you have to also understand where you can contribute. So that's where we are coming to. It is like a post-COVID situation where you have to start working with AI in the companies. We have to do ESG management. ESG is also required. Profit is also required, diversity and inclusion required, at the same time you have to deliver. Then your organization should push for creativity and R&D to become more powerful in technology. So all HR managers have this work of, talking beyond, recruiting beyond for company strategies to succeed. I have had one complaint with most HR people that they don't understand strategy and they don't align with business goals. They will always say team lunch from, we want so much of budget for promotion. That's all I used to say that time. You read P&L, you understand what is the burn rate and you decide the budget. That was my thinking. Now it is going beyond. You have to make sure that the HR people understand the strategy with the top management to get the right kind of people to succeed. So most of the people you recruit should be AI using people. Not that you will replace people. You have to train people to use AI. That is what's going to happen. Now lastly, I am concluding. Yes. Thank you for giving me this time. The last thing I want to talk about is spiritual dimension. All said and done, consciousness is supreme. Please understand, consciousness is life. Consciousness is self-existence. Consciousness is feeling. An algorithm doesn't feel. It changes your feeling, but it cannot feel itself. Here, consciousness is the key from which we can come. Consciousness has no science and there is no time and space. Consciousness is actually an awareness on which experience happens. This experience rises and goes, but the awareness is infinite and available. Now, in HR, if you do mindfulness, if you bring meditation practices, if you bring self-awareness, this herd mentality will go. Blind devotion, not being conscious of what you are doing, working in groups and saying yes, mob mentality, which mob is a problem. This is required to correct AI, and we cannot correct it with human interference. But I think we can create beyond that, because physicists are already working on beyond space and time, because they know space and time is doomed. There is 10 minus 33 is a time measurement you can do, which there are a lot of physicists. I can give you some references if you want to. There is one Nazim who is saying that the light years required for traveling to Jupiter will be 1/10 of what Einstein has predicted. That is the kind of thing. And he's saying you can reduce the gravity for doing that by rotating the velocity in the cone. But I don't want to rant on that because it requires more time. So what I'm trying to is, spiritually, if you are becoming aware, I think we can create a charge and a field to regulate AI. See, there is one last important message I want to give you. Democracies have to disappear in order to control AI. because you need speed. You cannot have conversations. The moment you have conversations, you know what goes on. You have got a lot of examples. So you need, all countries are becoming nation first and autocratic. This is the only way you can handle AI. So there is a problem with that, but there is going to be a push also towards that. My recommendation is that if you become spiritual, I think we'll find a way. It is an intuition I am saying. I don't have any proof how we will handle AI with spirituality, but I think we will do it because we have to think positive. We have to work as a humanity. There are no borders, nothing for this problem, because technology companies do not have borders. Either they will side with the government or not side with the government. They are global. So we have to basically work with this concept of containing through spirituality, compassion, love, freedom, liberty, and consciousness. Thank you.